Well, the party that introduced the waka jumping, of course, was Winston Peters' New Zealand First. And an official candidate up north for New Zealand First is Shane Jones, and he joins us. He joins us on the line now. Shane, kia ora, good morning, mate.
Kia ora, morning from flood-riddled Northland, which is making a lie of its name, the winterless north.
Oh, really? Is it raining again?
Yeah, no, we're surviving. We're resilient up here, but there's a fair bit of the wet stuff around.
All right. Now, Shane, let's just talk about the waka jumping. What was the idea, the general idea, behind the waka jumping legislation?
Well, it was designed to maintain the democratic integrity of an election. And if someone wanted to bail out from a list or elsewhere and turn their back on the party that brought them into power, then they had to leave Parliament and retest their mandate.
Yeah.
It was designed precisely to prevent the dishonourable, shabby behaviour that we've seen for the Maori member from Tairāwhiti.
Okay, so it was designed for exactly this circumstance. It was passed into law, so it exists. As much as anyone might say, oh, silly, it's flawed legislation, journalists don't like it for some reason, or the liberal mainstream media don't seem to like the waka jumping legislation, but it was passed by Parliament. It is a law. Do you think it was triggered yesterday by Mika Whaiteri's defection from Labour?
Well, I had a host of people ring me from the media about this incident, and a host of people in the media were absolutely insistent that it had been triggered, and largely it was on the basis of highly qualified legal analysts who are very well versed in electoral law.
Yeah.
So I just assumed that after she made her statements, unless she herself was a bit vague with the truth.
Unless she'd been hit by a motorbike. Sure.
Well, in general, in that case, the woman in Marama was hit by the motorbike after she gave the interview.
All right, so she says this, and we understand correspondence is sent to the Speaker. Everything required for her to be subject to the legislation and out of the House.
Yes, but of course the Speaker's powers are not subject to the official information legislation. So there's no way, unless someone leaks the correspondence, to establish whether or not second or third letters were written, rescinding the first letter, that enabled them to circumvent the provisions of the waka jumping legislation. But I'm begging if I can see how that legislation was not triggered. But more importantly, look, it appears more and more...
Well, John Tamahiri says he got involved in that too, and the constitutional issues would be addressed by him. I get the feeling, Shane, they screwed it up. They did write the letter and then go, whoa, that means she's out of Parliament, we don't get her money to campaign with, and we've messed all this up. And like they went and did a deal with Adrian Rerawi. They went and did a deal with the Speaker to get the letter back.
Well, no doubt there are people in Labour who can see that the tide's going out on them, and they need to keep the Māori Party sweet in the event that the Māori Party shores up a further wretched bout of this government's rule.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out, Shane, and forgive me, mate, Māori politics just does my head in. What does she possibly hope to gain from this? She could have campaigned in that seat for Labour and won it again, and be part of a party that is stable and is always going to be in Parliament. What a goody goat.
You know, in the old days, the Māoris didn't have stainless steel or plastic containers. They grew a thing called the gourd. I think it came from the Pacific.
Yeah.
And the gourd that makes the loudest noise is the one that's empty. I think what you're seeing is just a vacuous, not so much a vacuous gesture, but a vacuous politician who can't string together a coherent justification as to, number one, why has she betrayed Labour? a very party that breathed life into her political career. There would be no Meka Whaitiri in the absence of Labour.